actors, singers, and TV personalities are admired and often become role models for those chasing big dreams. But before fame and fortune, these celebrities were just regular people, and many faced serious hardships, including homelessness. Believe it or not, a surprising number of famous stars have experienced this kind of life. Here are some incredible stories of people who turned tough times into tremendous success. Before earning 5 Grammy Awards, Shania Twain experienced being homeless. According to her memoir, From This Moment On, she grew up in an abusive home and once stayed in a homeless shelter in Toronto with her mother and siblings. She recalls, "Mom got out of the car to use a payphone while we sat and waited, returning a few minutes later with a piece of paper on which she scribbled the address of a homeless shelter. That night, they slept in a hot, crowded room filled with cots." Today, Shania Twain is worth $400 million and has 5 Grammys to her name. When he was just 12, Dr. Phil lived in a car in Kansas City with his father, who was an interning psychologist. He later earned bachelor's, master's, and PhD degrees, and eventually joined his father's practice in Texas. In the 1990s, Oprah Winfrey invited him on her show. He became a regular guest and later launched his own wildly successful advice show. Dr. Phil is now estimated to be worth $460 million. At age 18, Jennifer Lopez had a falling out with her mother and ended up sleeping in a dance studio. The fight stemmed from Jennifer's dream of becoming a dancer. Within a few months, she landed a dancing job in Europe. After returning, she moved to Los Angeles, following a national competition win. This helped her secure a role as one of the Fly Girls on the TV show In Living Color. All of this happened in under a year, proof of what can happen when you chase your dreams. Today she is worth $400 million. In her early 20s, Halle Berry moved to Chicago to pursue acting. Without financial support and no help from her mother, she wound up in a homeless shelter. It was a tough time, but it taught her how to survive and take charge of her life. From those humble beginnings, she rose to fame and won an Oscar for Monsters Ball, and later appeared as Storm in the X-Men series. Today, her net worth is estimated at $90 million. When his father lost his job, Jim Carrey's family ended up living in a Volkswagen camper van. At 15, Jim dropped out of school to help support his family through small comedy gigs. He has said those hard times helped shape his comedic style. He went on to find massive success in movies like The Mask and Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Carey is now worth around $180 million. Before becoming a multi-platinum artist, Juelz lived in her car after being fired for refusing to sleep with her boss, and she ended up homeless for a year. During that time, she kept writing songs and began performing at a local coffee shop called the Interchange Cafe in San Diego. She built a loyal fan base, none of whom knew she was homeless. Eventually, she landed a record deal, and her debut album sold 12 million copies. Despite suggesting that her mother stole $100 million from her, Juelz is still worth about $14 million today. In 2010, Drew Carey gave a speech about his past. He spoke about being homeless as a teen while on a trip from Ohio to California to visit his brother. He stopped in Las Vegas where he struggled to get by, selling his plasma for $40 and barely affording boxed macaroni and cheese. He later said those experiences helped him succeed. Now, the star of The Drew Carey Show and host of The Price is Right is worth $165 million. In 2020, William Shatner opened up on Twitter about being homeless after Star Trek ended. Divorced and broke, he was living out of a pickup truck while performing in theater productions on the East Coast. He said, "I had 3 kids and was totally broke. I couldn't afford hotels, so I lived out of the back of my truck under a hard shell." Today, the Star Trek legend is worth $100 million. Raised in a trailer park, Hilary Swank and her mother once lived in a car and a vacant house. Friends allowed them to stay in the unsold property, but they had to leave during the day for showings. Despite these struggles, Hilary went on to win 2 Oscars before turning 30. She still lives modestly, riding the subway and staying grounded, yet her net worth is now about $70 million. Before becoming a Hollywood action star, Chris Pratt dropped out of school at 17 and sold coupons door to door. At 19, he took a one-way trip to Hawaii with a friend and ended up homeless, sleeping in a van or tent on the beach. He picked up whatever work he could just to afford food and gas, and finally took a job waiting tables at Bubba Gump's Shrimp Company. That's where actress Rae Dawn Chong discovered him and offered him a part in her film. Today, Pratt is one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood, with a net worth over $100 million. When people think of Sylvester Stallone, they think of Rocky, but before the fame, his life was anything but glamorous. After his script for Rocky was rejected multiple times, Stallone became homeless, sleeping at the Port Authority bus station in New York. Desperate for money, he even sold his dog for $25. A week later, after finally selling his script, he bought the dog back for $15,000. Today, Stallone is one of the most iconic action stars in the world, worth over $400 million. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and please consider subscribing and sharing Recollection Road Entertainment with someone you know. As always, thank you so much for watching.